Today we have a research presentation by Shubhika and Nilakshi on catatonia. Over to you, team.
Hello everyone, very good morning. Today we are going to present a research on the horrors of catatonia and its treatment modalities. Over to Shubhika.
Hello everyone, good morning. So let's start by discussing what is going to be discussed within the presentation. If you could move back a slide. Yeah. So there's going to be an introduction of what exactly catatonia is, DSM classification, the criteria of DSM, then catatonia activity levels, the treatment modalities, and then a case study. So moving to the introduction, catatonia is a neuropsychiatric syndrome. When we talk about catatonia, it's not a single disorder. It's a group of abnormal behaviors, movements, and emotional states. And when we talk about catalepsy, it's one of the main feature of catatonia. Moving on, the DSM classification of catatonia. So DSM does not treat catatonia as an independent class but recognizes catatonia associated with other mental disorders. For example, the psychotic disorders, which are schizophrenia, for example. Next, catatonia disorders due to another medical conditions. Here we are talking about physiological conditions. And then third, unspecified catatonia, for which the causes are not so understood or found out. Also, alcohol or substance use catatonia also come within this category. Moving to the next slide, the clinical picture of catatonia. So in DSM, it says more than three of these things. If an individual is facing, then we can diagnose the person with catatonia. So, firstly, stupor, that is no psychotic activity, psychomotor activity. Next, catalepsy, that is passive induction of posture held against gravity. Third, waxy flexibility, that is slight and even resistance to positioning by examiner. So when an individual comes in for the exam and there's a lot of resistance, that is also one of the symptoms of catatonia. Mutism, that is no very little verbal response, not talking to the talking to anyone, basically to your caregiver or to the medical examiner. Next, negativism, that is opposition or no response to instruction or external stimuli. Moving forward, 6 points that states that there is spontaneous active maintenance of posture against the gravity. Seventh mannerism, that is odd circumstantial or abnormal behaviors. For examples, one example when we were studying about it came out, maybe opening up your pants in front of everyone. That does happen and that comes under this thing. Next, 8 point, repetitive, abnormal, frequent, non goal oriented movements. You are stuck with a movement which you even don't know, or you don't know why you are doing, but you are just doing that. Ninth, agitation, not influenced by anything, you are just agitated. Next, grimacing. 11th, that is mimicking others' speech. And last, mimicking others' behavior. So these were the all symptoms basically that was defined by catatonia. Now, when we talk about catatonia, there are a lot of repetitive behavior as mentioned. So what could these be? The first is rigidity or spur that lasts for hours or even days, as mentioned earlier in the criteria. Next, performing strange movements, as one shown in this, that you are shaking your hand above your head. Next, staying in uncomfortable position without shifting. Moving forward would be erratic or extreme movements. And the last one, as mentioned earlier, repetitive words or behaviors as mimicking others. So these were the basic understanding what catatonia is. And now moving to Nilakshi.
Okay, thank you so much. Moving to catatonia activity levels. Now, while most people think of catatonia as a disorder that involves moving very little or not at all, that's not always the case. Catatonia also involves sudden and unpredictable behavior changes, including excessive or even constant movements. So, the activity levels for catatonia are excited, hyperkinetic. This forms usually involves behavior changes such as pacing, agitation, aggression, violent behavior without any situation change that would cause the behavior. It also includes acting or speaking strangely, so mimicking how others are talking, mimicking how others are behaving, or even acts of self harm. Then there's withdrawn or hypokinetic catatonia. This form of catatonia is often what we think about when we think of the disorder. So people with this form are awake, but they do not react to what is happening around them as if they are not aware of what is happening. They're usually silent and have little to no facial expression. They might also hold themselves in very unusual posture or position and even resist attempts of moving them. They often don't eat or drink and may have lack of control over their movements. The last is mixed. This form combines features of hyperkinetic and hypokinetic catatonia. A person with catatonia can quickly switch between hyperkinetic and hypokinetic behaviors without any warning. So moving to the treatment. Now the treatment of catatonia usually depends on the conditions with which it is accompanied. So if it happens with a medical or a neurological condition, treating the condition, if it is possible, will often help reverse the effects of catatonia. Pharmacological treatment and electroconvulsive therapy are the primary interventions used for catatonia. So here's a breakdown of that. For medication, benzodiazepines are the primary medication used for treating catatonia because they are safe and effective. Between 60 to 90% of people with catatonia show improvement if treated with these medications. Other medications such as mood stabilizers or antipsychotic drugs may also be given, but they usually aren't the first line of treatment. Electroconvulsive therapy. Electroconvulsive therapy is a treatment that involves running a very mild electrical current through an area in your brain to cause a short seizure. ETC is also very effective with people with catatonia, nearly helping all people who receive it. It is also helpful for people whose catatonia isn't responding to medication. People usually undergo ETC in general anesthesia, which means that they are in a deep sleep, so they don't feel the pain for the treatment. Then we have transcranial magnetic stimulation. It is a non-invasive treatment that involves using a magnetic coil to influence your brain's natural electrical activity. TSM is also offered as an alternative to treatments like electroconvulsive therapy, or if electroconvulsive therapy isn't an option and isn't effective. However, there's a lot more research that needs to be done on TSM to prove its effectiveness. Then we have supportive care. Now, hydration and nutrition is something that is very important, as catatonia can often lead to dehydration and malnutrition. So, ensuring adequate fluid and liquid intake is very important. Then we have physical therapy. So muscle stiffness and rigidity can occur with catatonia. Physical therapy can help improve mobility and prevent any contractures. Psychotherapy. Once the catatonic episode subsides, psychotherapy can help individuals cope with the underlying mental health conditions and prevent further episodes. Going to a case study. So the case study is of a 14-year-old boy who was admitted to a general inpatient psychiatric unit as his parents noted a change in his mood with shorter periods of depressive thoughts and rumination followed by periods of increased energy and activity. His early neuropsychological development was reported to be normal and his school performance has been satisfactory. There was no previous history of psychiatric disorders. So it is noted that the patient's mother was also diagnosed with unspecified psychosis as well as anxiety disorder. She reported that after giving birth to her son 14 years ago, she developed postpartum psychosis. When the patient was brought in, he was diagnosed with bipolar type 1. The patient also expressed systemic persecutory delusions about kidnapping. Catatonia was diagnosed as the patient's father reported that the patient has been sleeping with his arms raised. He also had immobility, stupor, mutism, staring, posturing, catalepsy, rigidity, waxy flexibility, withdrawal, automatic obedience, and MB tendency. The patient The patient was started on olazapine and lithium sulfate. It was later changed to aripiprazole due to weight gain. Catatonia was in remission after 5 sessions of electroconvulsive therapy. He was discharged after 2 months with stable mood and no signs of psychosis. 1 year post admission, they maintained him on lithium sulfate and aripiprazole with no relapse of catatonia, depression, or mania. And in the end, they also mentioned that his school performance and social functioning were back to the same level before he was ill. So thank you so much, everybody. We now have a small quiz. Which one of these is the main symptoms of catatonia? Is it increased appetite, disorientation, stupor, or none of the above? Yes, C is the right answer. Thank you. Which treatment modality has shown to be effective for catatonia? Cognitive behavioral therapy, electroconvulsive therapy, dialectical behavioral therapy, or exposure therapy? Yes, it is B. Thank you so much for your responses. We are now done with the presentation. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them.
Great. Thank you, team, for a detailed presentation on the topic. We will move towards the feedback.